Guys, welcome to a classic film review of Escape to Victory. Now, what if I told you that the director of The Maltese Falcon and The African Queen teamed up with Sir Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone and Max von Sydow to make a World War II prisoner of war movie that also starred footballing legends Pele, Bobby Moore and Ozzy Ardiles in what is probably still the greatest movie ever made featuring soccer? Well, the fusion of all of this is the movie Escape to Victory, or simply Victory, as it's often called. The splendidly daft tale of a football match between Allied POWs and the German national team played out in Nazi-occupied Paris. Now, it wasn't terribly successful on its initial release, certainly in the United States, possibly because it features soccer, which incidentally is the last time that I'll call it that here because I'm English and it will just forever be football. Anyway, it's since become a cult classic of sorts and well worth your time, so let's take a look. Now, I've always found it quite odd that Escape to Victory is in fact an 80s movie. It feels older and for me has that late 60s, early 70s vibe, the golden age of these kinds of boys' own adventures, sticking it to the Nazis via the medium of penalty saves and bicycle kicks. Now, the plot, for what it's worth, sees Max von Sydow's Major Karl von Steiner recognise Michael Caine's British officer, Captain John Colby, from his professional footballing days, and being a big sports fan, suggests a morale-boosting match between the Allies and the Germans. If the Allies agree, they get better rations and accommodation, and as the match is to be played in a stadium outside the camp, the Prisoners' Escape Committee see this as a unique opportunity.
Your duty, Colby, as an officer.
It could be an excellent opportunity.
Certainly worth considering, old boy. I am not interested in getting them killed.
Are you afraid to try?
Your escaping is just some bloody upper-crust game.
Now, I imagine it's not an easy feat to create a successful mixture of World War II prison movie and against the odds sports film, and so something has to give, and here it's the POW aspect, I think. Although we are told conditions in this camp are good compared to others, Sir Michael Caine is the supposed England and West Ham player, looks far too well fed to be either an athlete or a prisoner, and Stallone's Canadian soldier captain, Robert Hatch, looks fresh out of the gym, which of course he was, this being released between Rocky 2 and Rocky 3. But hey, we're not really here for historical accuracy or a downbeat tale of prison conditions. And Escape to Victory knows that, and so it goes through the sports movie motions that you'll probably know and love, selecting squad members, handy when you have some retired football legends in the camp, including Bobby Moore, who looks pretty embarrassed throughout, I think, and I think he was still playing the game in the United States at the time, and of course three-time World Cup winner Pele, who actually has a few lines that are fairly well delivered, but not as well as his trademark bicycle kick that the whole movie seems to have been sold on. Now, like I mentioned, there's a team escape plan that uses the game as a mass distraction, and there's a slightly mismanaged love story half-heartedly added between Stallone and a French resistance woman that was possibly concocted to add a singular female character into the mix. But if you want a great POW escape drama, then The Great Escape, River Kwai and even Rambo 2 are out there waiting for you. The football element is what we're really here for. And I don't know why, but it seems a notoriously difficult sport to film. Baseball, hockey and even bobsleighing have all been translated to the medium of motion pictures pretty well. 1996 is so when Saturday comes and the dreadful Goal series have failed to capture the spot as well as Escape to Victory does in its final 40 minutes. The match here is well shot with a mixture of crowd's eye view and up close and personal battles, and these are battles. There's feet and elbows and even the odd punch thrown. The apparently neutral referee clearly not interested in leg breaking tackles, flying in from all angles. There's also, of course, a couple of well-placed money shots, the aforementioned Pele bicycle kick, and of course Ozzy Ardiles' flick served up in glorious slow motion, but for the most part it all feels authentic, as if an actual game has been played and the highlights stitched together. Credit goes to Pele, who was also the match's choreographer.
How's that? Give me this. Kobe, after giving me ball, here I do these, go. Easy.
There's even some pretty well done and not too intrusive commentary from brilliant character actor Anton Driffing, who usually plays a Nazi bad guy. Of course, this part here is played by Swedish acting legend Max von Sydow, who, when he's not playing Jesus Christ or an exorcist, excelled at playing Eastern European villains.
The whole bloody war's a regrettable mistake.
I agree.
Do you?
You can believe me or not, it's nothing to me. If nations could settle their differences on the football pitch, wouldn't that be a challenge?
Here, though, he plays a slightly more sympathetic Wehrmacht major who's less interested in Hitler's atrocities and the staging of a mass Nazi propaganda event than he is in just watching the beautiful game. I think at one point he applauds Pelé's skills. Pelé, remember, being the only black man in the stadium in Nazi-occupied France. The French stadium here, incidentally, filmed in Budapest by cinematographer Jerry Fisher, working alongside second unit director Robert Reiger. Now, director John Huston, I'm assuming, was disinterested in filming this section. Apparently, he only took the entire job for the money and hated the finished movie. Now, John Huston was at this stage decades past his prime, working with the likes of Humphrey Bogart and just about every star of classic Hollywood. He'd direct Annie a year after this, but would die of ill health 5 years later. Now, Sylvester Stallone pushed to be in the movie for an opportunity to work with Huston, and likewise Sir Michael Caine, who'd already worked with Huston on The Man Who Would Be King, took the gig so he could meet and work with Pelé.
How'd you like to play football against the Germans?
Why not?
Anyway, Escape to Victory is about as far removed from the terrible realities of war as it's possible to get. I'm not as educated in the Geneva Conventions and the basic rights of wartime prisoners, but in this particular camp there seems to be little in the way of strict security, and in the football recruitment and training sequences, if you squint, it could be some kind of holiday camp. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Escape to Victory is an old-fashioned style war film, and football fans of a certain age will benefit from the nostalgia of seeing legendary players like Pele and Bobby Moore cast as P.O.W.s, and apparently quite a few players from Ipswich Town that I couldn't point out make up Colby's team. Now, the movie was released between the 1978 World Cup in Argentina and the 1982 tournament in Spain. The film's partly based, though, on a true story when in 1942 a group of Ukrainian POWs played an exhibition match against their German captors. When the Germans lost, they responded by executing the majority of the players. Now, there's nothing as grim here, thankfully, just a classic tale of good versus evil lifted from the battlefields of Europe and played out on a football pitch. Go check it out.
Let's go back. We can win this.
Who said that?
I did.
What do you mean we can win it? You mean, wait a minute.
Colby, we're losing time.
You mean you go back and play the second half?
Well, I'll tell you.
Let's move. We only got a few minutes.
Yes, but we can win this.
You
reckon
can't...
we...